Here I am, Jamsters, coming to you live from a closet at work. You know why? Because it's the trade deadline. With 30 minutes, just over 30 minutes left to go until the trade deadline. Matthew is in his room. Or are you in a closet?
No, I can't be. There's one right there. I could jump in there and just join you, dude, if you want.
Okay, we can both be in a couple closets as we sit here and we wait to see what else the Phoenix Suns are going to do. There's trades literally popping off nonstop, left and right, and that's the beauty of the trade deadline. So we thought it would be a fun thing this year to go live during the trade deadline, talk about different things that are occurring, how it relates to the Phoenix Suns, how it relates to the Western Conference, the Pacific Division, a million things to go on and on about. We're going to have some special guests joining us as well who are going to give their kind of points of view, maybe give us their reactions to the trade deadline. But this is an exciting time, my friend. It's a very, very exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah, no, this is I don't think this has ever happened. I mean, I think when KD was traded, everything kind of just fell in line after the next day. And it's nonstop. Everyone in the West really is trying to match what the Suns brought on here in Phoenix by bringing KD. So it's gonna be interesting how these teams pile up these players to match the Suns in the West. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, and that's what it is. KD, the transaction that brought Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns last night, moved the market. It changed the landscape of the NBA in one fell swoop because teams now have to react to that. They have to say, okay, shit, the Phoenix Suns, who were 18, 19-1 favorites, are now 4-1, 5-1 favorites to win a championship. That changes things. And when those kind of things happen, everything else kind of falls into place. So we're going to talk about that and plenty more on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. Make sure if you're watching along live, hit that thumbs up button. Tell your buddies what you're doing. Subscribe, rate, review. If you're listening to the podcast later on your drive home today and you're getting ready to go watch the Suns, a depleted Suns team, play the Atlanta Hawks, which will be coming to you live again tonight. God, if you like the Phoenix Suns and you like the Suns Jam Session podcast, you're getting all of the content.
It's nonstop. Morning show's coming too. We got the morning show.
Yeah, we're going to start doing morning shows from work. I'm going to pick a different closet to hang out in, but again, there's so many different transactions that I want to go over. I know Dave King is probably going to join us in about 10 minutes to discuss his observations. That'll give us an opportunity to literally just talk about some of the things that have gone on. But pop them if you got them, Suns fans. I got a mandarin orange seltzer water, I'm at
cool.
work, so
hey, coffee.
There you go. It's going to be a long night, sir. So pop them and let's talk about all these things that are going on in the NBA. It's getting wild out there with all of the different transactions that are occurring throughout the NBA.
Girls gone wild.
I don't know which transaction you want to start with, Matthew. We have all over the board. Some of the transactions that have occurred today is Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks from Oklahoma City is going to Boston in exchange for Mike Muscala. Jae Crowder has been traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the Milwaukee Bucks for 5 second-round picks. And that's not the only time that 5 second-round picks have been included today. We have names like Thomas Bryant, former son Davon Reed. You got Matisse Thybulle headed to Portland. Jalen McDaniels is headed to Philly. You have Sadiq Bey and James Wiseman. 5 future second-round picks. Golden State is receiving for James Wiseman, which is very interesting. You got Pat Bev is heading to Orlando for Mo Bamba. Which one of these do you want to start with? And if anything pops up again, I'll just bring up the transaction very discreetly.
I mean, we can start with Jay. I think
it's
about time. Jay's gonna. I don't know if you want to do with the last drop, maybe for Jay, or
I think that's not a bad. I think after everything that Jae Crowder is and has been for this team, I think that he deserves one last drop, one last time for our buddy Jae Crowder. If I could just find it, it's deep in the deep cuts. Here we go.
It's Jae Crowder.
He gone. Jae Crowder is now on his way to Milwaukee. So what are your thoughts on that? The Phoenix Suns trade away Jae Crowder last night as a part of the epic Kevin Durant deal. And they flip him for 5 second-round draft picks, Matthew.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that before, the 5 second-round draft picks. But Jay going to Milwaukee is something I think that was going to happen in the first place, right? I think the Suns just had to get who they wanted, which was Kevin Durant, and then everything else fall into place. Jay going to Milwaukee, like I'm fine with it. If he were to go to Milwaukee or Miami, somewhere in the East, I'm okay with that. I don't want to see these players in the West. I really don't. If we see him in the finals, that's fine. He's still going to make it to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to see him go to Golden State or, even a Memphis team. I didn't want to see that because we do face them. We'll probably always have that series against them in the playoffs. You just don't want that to happen. I'm not saying that Jae Crowder is that caliber of player anymore to make a difference. He might be. He'll be definitely a good addition to that Milwaukee team. Bring some toughness. But it's good that he's gone now. It's crazy how we just have not seen him either. For him to come out and actually speak, it's going to be kind of weird because it's been 4 or 5 months and I haven't seen his face anywhere. He's just now coming on social media, tweeted something today. It's good that he's gone. It's good to actually have that off our backs now and we can move on, man. And it would have been nice to keep him around with this Kevin Durant addition. I think he would have been good in that starting lineup, but too late.
No, I agree. And I think that it would have been that veteran leadership that they need. I think that, of course, I'm at work and people are like, "Hey, John, I've got a question. Hey, John, I've got a question."
Yeah. So I know it's difficult. Even if Jay does face us in the finals, that's going to be something that we can look forward to. But a lot of these teams right now out west they're just adding anybody to match up against the Suns and Kevin Durant. So it's going to be a struggle no matter what, no matter where Jay goes or any OG. It's going to be tough for the Suns. They made it tough on themselves.
Yeah, fair enough. They also made a transaction today to fill a power forward need by it's kind of sad to do it, but looks like the smoke break is over, my friends.
The Saric smoke break.
So Dario Saric is on his way to OKC. The Suns are going to get Darius Bazley in return. Now, Darius Bazley, for those of you who don't know, he's a 6'8" power forward, the number 23 overall pick from the Utah Jazz in 2019. What are the details of that trade? I think there was didn't the Suns give up a second-round pick in that as well? Yeah, they gave up
a second-round pick. Yep.
So, thoughts on saying goodbye to Dario before we bring Dave King in?
Oh, you know what? It was a great run. We kind of knew he might have been involved in a trade. He had some good games here this season, but you just know it just wasn't a fit. He's the connector that Monty, loved and always wanted to keep around. But I just don't think it was anything that would fit. I think we have big guys on this team that can fill that void, and it's not really giving up too much. I mean, we love his big butt. We love the smoke breaks, but it's time to move on. Sorry.
I completely agree. I mean, we love. No, it's not. This is a business, baby. But I'll tell you, Dario Saric, thank you for everything that he's done for this organization. But I think that bringing in Darius Bazley, who thus far this season hasn't made much of an impact on the Oklahoma City Thunder, simply because he's been playing in 36 games, 15.4 minutes. He's got 5.4 points. He's an interior presence. He's not going to chuck up a bunch of threes for you, but he's shooting 40% from beyond the arc. But I think that he gives you a little bit more size and more than anything, athleticism on the interior, which good, bad, or indifferent, that's not what Dario gave you.
Oh.
So I'm going to welcome to the podcast now my son's daddy. I got the shirt up right behind me right here. Dave King is my son's daddy.
Oh, my God.
Dave
it's
King.
on the wall.
Yes,
it's
I brought it to work.
Forever.
I brought it to work. I'm in a closet somewhere, and I hung it up behind me. But welcome, Dave.
In your closet, which is where it belongs. Yes.
But tell me how you're feeling. There's so much going on right now. Again, if any transactions pop up, I'll rattle them off. But where do you want to start?
Wow, where do I want to start? Well, first of all, we got Darius Bazley today, baby.
Dude,
this has been one hell of a trade deadline. Will he outplay Torrey Craig as a deadline acquisition for the Phoenix Suns? I don't know. I'm hoping. He's younger. He's got a lot of upside. We can turn this into a positive so the trade deadline isn't such a negative and boring and lame. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought you were kind of joking, but yeah, I have actually a little bit of insider. I have an OKC fan. He let me know that Darius Bazley, he has some excitement to him. He is good at blocking the shot without drawing the foul. So that's what he's good at. He has been inefficient this year. The last couple of weeks, he said he's been playing better within the system. Sometimes when he gets the ball, he can try to do what he wants out there to ignore the coach and do what he's an asshole kind of player. But he settled down. I think it's a good role for him to be in Phoenix and kind of have Chris Paul look over him. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get, but he does say it's maybe an end of a bench kind of player.
Yeah, I know I was being a little sarcastic though.
Little
Thank you for that
facetious.
scouting
I was
report.
kind of like, I don't know.
I do appreciate that though. I mean, look, the guy was considered to be talented. He lost time on the Thunder this year, but you know what? I'm probably burying the lead a little bit. You guys already covered that part.
Well, how about this?
This is your second pod on the big lead.
Yes. Drop on the Suns Jam Session podcast.
Now we won't get paid for these pods anymore at all.
Yeah, I tried to snip it just enough to where I don't get sued.
Okay, cool.
What are your thoughts, Dave, on Kevin Durant coming here and the ultimate haul it took to get him here?
Well, first of all, the haul is whatever it took to get him here. The bottom line, look, I loved Mikal Bridges. I will be a Nets fan. I'm hoping he stays with the Nets and doesn't come back west on some kind of last-second deal. If he stays with the Nets, I'll be a Nets fan. I'll continue to be a Nets fan because I had been watching them for the last few years on the side as a Kevin Durant fan,
and a Steve Nash fan, right?
And a Steve Nash fan. So I've been watching these guys. Dude, this is the biggest trade the Phoenix Suns have ever made in their history and the biggest in the NBA history at a trade deadline. This dude is a top 5 legit MVP candidate. Like Booker is an MVP ballot guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll get on the ballots. By the end of the year, he'll be top 10. Last year, he was 4th. He's a ballot guy, but he is not going to actually win an MVP. Kevin Durant can win the MVP. You need a guy like that to win a championship. What have we talked about? We've talked about the fact that the Suns were short that guy that is the best player in an entire playoffs. Well, guess what? Now they've got that guy. So I think this is the best possible outcome for this trade deadline.
Now, how do you feel with us mortgaging our future? We gave up 4 first-round picks, a pick swap. I love it. Go ahead. I agree.
Oh, man. How do I feel? Dude, let's roll this back. Let's roll this back a little bit to the Chris Paul trade 2 years ago. The Suns did not have to send out all their first-round picks of the future, but people were pissed that 2 starters were traded for an aging, broke down Chris Paul. How could that possibly work out for the Suns? It kind of did. And you know what people have been saying for the past 2 years, every single day, in my mentions at least, this title window is closing. This title window is closing. Chris Paul is on a short timeline. Guess what? The Suns just burst open the door of that timeline again. And you know what else? In 2 years, when they start fading again, they'll just burst it open again because Matt Ishbia doesn't give a crap what anybody else thinks. He's just going to get his best team together. He said all the right things yesterday.
He did.
In that intro presser. He said all the right things. And I actually wrote a reaction piece on Bright Side of the Sun, if you go and look at it, where I was like, well, he's got to live up to it. He's got to actually do it now. He can't just say it. He's got to do it. 12 hours later, he did it. He did more, as you tweeted, John Voida. He did more in 12 hours as owner of the Phoenix Suns than any owner, not just Sarver, than any owner has ever done. Because while you might be excited about Suns having gotten Charles Barkley in 1992, yeah, great. Yes. What did that do for the Suns? It got them to the finals. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, is a better player than Charles Barkley was at his prime. Now, Charles Barkley was younger at the time. He did win MVP his first year with the Suns, but he was one of those disgruntled guys, kind of like he just wanted out of where he was. There was no guarantee that was going to work. And guess what the Suns did? They traded a non-all-star in Jeff Hornacek to acquire Barkley, and people were unhappy. They're just going to
Yeah.
be some people that are unhappy. This was one hell of a trade. The Suns did everything they needed to do to make this trade happen.
I've had some friends who have texted me, and it's a shared sentiment throughout the Valley that our young core is now being sacrificed for a win now opportunity. And we love Mikal Bridges and we love Cameron Johnson. But when Flex from Jersey was on the podcast last night, he said it perfectly. Your hope when you draft a Mikal Bridges and a Cameron Johnson is that they create enough value so you can go and get a Kevin Durant. And guess what? Phoenix Suns still aren't done.
Yep.
Trades are still happening. I haven't seen the Suns pop up in much. I see that the Hornets are trading center Mason Plumlee to the Clippers. Just came through right now.
It'd be nice to have as a backup, actually.
But
I like our backups. It's just
Yeah,
basic.
we're
we're
okay
good
on
there.
the backups with Biz and Landale. I'm okay with that too. I wouldn't mind the Suns making a backup point guard acquisition, but they're kind of short on assets, so they would have to trade like a CP3 to get another point guard if you're going to keep CP3. Which actually Matt Ishbia said yesterday, CP3's leadership in just that Pistons game that he sat courtside at last week when the Suns beat the Pistons. He was close to the Suns bench, and he was close to the Suns bench, and he was listening to CP talk to the guys the whole game. And he's like, that's the kind of leadership I appreciate. That's the kind of leadership any team needs. He talked really up. So I'd be surprised if Chris Paul is traded. So if the Suns acquire like another backup guy, that's fine. As point guard, but they're not going to be trading Chris Paul today. There was rumor this morning the Suns were open to trading DA and totally going all in but again, DA would only have been traded for someone even better. Just like Mikal Bridges, you might be lamenting Mikal Bridges being traded, but he's traded for Kevin freaking Durant.
Exactly. That was
So
my
they're
response.
not going to trade DA for nothing. If they did trade DA, it'd be for someone a lot better. If they traded Chris Paul, it'd be someone for a lot better. That's not going to happen. It doesn't look like, and the Suns are still the favorites in the Western Conference.
And we have about 20 minutes until the trade deadline does end. Mason Plumlee did get traded to the Clippers. Reggie Jackson is now headed to Charlotte. So that's an interesting move. The Clippers also did get Eric Gordon as well.
I still remember Reggie Jackson crying after he re-signed with the Clippers, just saying, I finally got a home.
I remember when
someone that loves me.
I remember
There's no
when
such
he
thing.
Yeah, no shit. I remember when he hit the third home run in that World Series against the Dodgers that year, and I was like, dude, Reggie Jackson is the man. Man. It's a baseball joke, Dave.
Mr. October.
Yes,
no,
Mr.
I know this.
Yeah, I actually don't remember. It was in the 70s, and I wasn't around. But again, I think that as we continue to monitor the trade deadline, Matthew, do you think that the Suns are going to make a transaction in an effort to try to fortify some of their wing depth? Because they did lose 2 quality wings in this transaction. Torrey Craig is potentially slotted to become your starting small forward moving forward once Kevin Durant is back and healthy. But do you think that the Suns are going to make any attempt to try to get a wing that's out there? Or have all the major wing targets pretty much been already traded in the Jared Vanderbilts of the world?
Yeah, there's one guy. Thibault was the guy that we thought, even last night, we were talking about
Portland.
him. Yep, too late for that. OG,
Yeah.
huh? No, I'm just kidding. We do not have enough assets for that. I'm sure the asking price went down dramatically after KD, but we don't have enough for that. You know what? I don't know. I think Bazley might be nice to throw in there once in a while if he, can comply, but we're just kind of reaching on that one. Who else is out there? I mean, Dave was talking about point guards. I mean, Russell Westbrook, of course, but
the buyout market's where the rest of the
buyout market. So I'm
God,
not sure.
I would not love Russell Westbrook.
I know
on this
it's half and
team.
half.
I would
wouldn't
not
mind.
love Russell Westbrook on this team
What
because
about John Wall?
He's too
Not
much
a good
about
Russell
himself.
guy.
John Wall got traded today too, right?
John
He
Wall,
did, back to the
look,
Rockets.
John Wall, the
he
Clippers
really?
needed point guards, and they got rid of both John Wall and Reggie Jackson today.
And Luke Kennard. He gone too? God, the Clippers are really just saying fuck it all, huh?
Well, the Clippers have been mostly healthy for a couple of months now, and they're tied with the Suns, who have been mostly unhealthy for months. So if I'm the Clippers, I know I've got to make some trades too.
Yeah, I agree. They have to change some things up, but it's really interesting to see how much they're changing up. And again, OG Anunoby, I bet you before this podcast is done, we have 15 minutes until the trade deadline is up.
Mhm.
There's a lot of talk about OG Anunoby. Somebody's out there trying to make that trade happen.
Warriors.
That's why we're not hearing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Warriors are the lead right now. I'm taking them.
Sham says the Warriors have been checking in on it, but what are the Warriors going to trade for him?
They just gave up Wiseman, right? They gave up Wiseman.
They just gave up Wiseman.
They gave up. Okay, so this little thing is, this whole Salt Bay kind of thing where the guy drops the salt. This is second round picks today. Everyone's throwing 5 second round picks, 3
I've never seen that before in my
picks.
life.
No,
I've never seen that before in my life.
Jae Crowder, 5 second round picks.
Yeah, exactly. So James Wiseman went for second round picks. So there's no value on these Warriors young guys to trade for OG Anunoby. That's my take. They might trade their, I don't know how many first round picks they have available. I haven't looked up the Warriors lately, but I'd be surprised if they could acquire OG without somehow trading one of their already big guys, like maybe Jordan Poole or someone like that.
Green.
You know what? If they traded Jordan Poole for OG Anunoby, I'd be worried about the Warriors.
The only reason
Jordan
they
Poole
wanted
is the only thing helping the Warriors stay bad.
Well, and with Steph Curry being injured now, they're going to lean on Jordan Poole until he gets healthy. So it's hard for them to trade that asset because that's their true future of everything that is their culture, that those 3-point shooting guards. Jordan Poole slots right in there. So I don't know if I could see them actually making that transaction. Matthew, do you think so?
No, I don't. But it would be like the Warriors to go ahead and grab OG. Because right now the Warriors are looking at the Suns. They're like, wow, they got KD. KD wants to beat the Warriors. Now the Warriors have a reason to actually win again, right? They always need something to kind of get them
some
riled back up.
motivating factor.
Yeah, and this is going to be the thing. So this is going to be interesting because OG, I felt like the Warriors were going to take them just for that reason. Now if it doesn't happen, it's just like the Warriors still have some motivation, but can they really stop the Suns? The Suns seem like they're a better team right now than the Warriors, unless the Warriors can pull that through. What was it? 14 more minutes left. If they can get that, then that's huge for them.
What do you think about what LA's been doing, Dave?
The Clippers or the Lakers?
The Lakers.
The Lakers, I actually
bailed out.
Grudgingly, okay, I don't like the Bamba pick because he sucks, but trade. But I would tell you
they got rid of Thomas Bryant. They got Mo.
No,
Bamba.
Lakers got a lot better. Now, did they get better enough to get out of play-in level? Probably not, unless LeBron James and Anthony Davis carry them above play-in level. But the Lakers are 13th in the West. So these acquisitions, D'Angelo Russell for Russell Westbrook, and you've got Russell Westbrook and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt taking time from Thomas Bryant. Vanderbilt's a much better defensive player. I would definitely say that the Lakers got better. Did they get championship better? That's all up to LeBron and Anthony Davis, and those two have already proven they can't carry you to a championship anymore. They did great in 2020. Anthony Davis looked like a shell of himself the other night. I mean, I don't know. He just doesn't look like the same player. Maybe he'll wake up again and become that. That's how they would win. But the moves they made, at least they made them a better team. They definitely got better. I don't know that. Did anyone else in the West get better?
The Phoenix Suns.
Besides, obviously.
Not yet. No.
No.
The Clippers, we don't know if they got better. I mean, they got Bones Highland, right? I mean, they brought in, they flipped a lot of things, and until, as per usual with the Los Angeles Clippers,
Eric Gordon, Bones Highland. But Bones Highland
Mason
had lost
Plumlee.
his rotation spot because he was such a net negative.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Gordon is 84 years old. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Well, we would call him by his real age if he became a Phoenix Sun. but again, with the Clippers, like it has been during the entire oh my God, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George era, until you see it's just paper. They're a paper tiger.
Who was their third best player? It was supposed to be Reggie Jackson, right?
Yeah, it
now
was
he's
Luke
been shipped
Kennard
off for pocket change.
And Luke Kennard's been playing very well. He's gone.
Trey Mann too, right? He kind of fell off.
Trey Mann had one good playoff run.
Terrence Mann has actually gotten better. No, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten actually. Terrence Mann is a good, but as your third dude, what would Terrence Mann be on the Suns? well, the Suns before they traded all their depth. He would have been 6th or 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
The Clippers were really expecting a lot from their role players, and I think we all were expecting a lot from their role players, but they haven't delivered, and that's why the Clippers are barely above 500.
Yeah, the Clippers and Lakers, they're really hoping for like just a magic month in the playoffs to really pull it through. And I don't know, man. Like I was watching the Lakers on LeBron's magical night, and it just looked like, AD, maybe he was mad at Russell Westbrook. Who knows? Maybe he's just mad that he's hurt and he just doesn't have it anymore. But relying on LeBron and AD to really get you anywhere, even with that depth they have now, it's not going to go anywhere. And same thing with the Clippers, man. These guys, they're just hoping. They're hoping. And I don't see anybody in the West right now better than the Suns.
Hey, comment real quick on the Thomas Bryant thing. You said they traded Thomas Bryant away, right?
Mhm.
Did you see the tweet right after the Thomas Bryant was traded?
I didn't.
Reportedly, Thomas Bryant was frustrated that he had lost playing minutes to
when
Anthony
AD came
Davis.
back, right? Yeah.
Like, who are
Who
you?
are you, dude?
Who do you think you are?
Hey, he usually has like one good minute against the Suns. Like,
Oh my God!
good, and then
Gary
it's just like
Payton
never
the
mind.
second is being traded back to the Warriors for
Who is
5 second-round picks.
Gary Payton is for 5
Gary
second-round
Payton.
picks.
5 seconds.
They're
How
going
many
out of
times?
style.
I've seen
What is going on?
trades of 5 seconds 3 times today, and I had never seen it before in my entire life.
So the Warriors gave up 5 second-round picks in an effort to move on from James Wiseman, and then they got him back from Portland.
Do they buy you like 1 first-round pick? Like, hey, I got 5 second rounds.
I've never seen this.
You can
before.
trade it into the NBA.
Real quick,
to get
a couple other
round.
things. John Collins is planning to stay in Atlanta, per Chris Haynes. They say that the Atlanta Hawks plan to keep John Collins past the trade deadline.
God, imagine if we got him. That was like all we got.
Oh my God.
For
Joe Casillas in the chat says the Mavs got better. I think they got better offensively, but I don't know if they did.
The Mavs got
defensively.
better over a week ago, but they're still worse than the team that was in the playoffs last year.
This is correct. And defensively, they will continue to be a negative following this transaction.
Did they have any kind of introduction for Kyrie when he came? Because he was there, he was in practice. They had like, a little bit of a thing with the media, but like Mark Cuban wasn't there. They didn't do an introduction or anything like that. So does that just like tell you like, hey, he's going to be there just for short term and he wants to come to Phoenix? Because the rumor is he still wants to come to Phoenix.
Exactly.
So is that what I just feel like no one really cares he's there?
Well, and that's the key thing. A lot of people said when Kyrie moves on, wherever he goes, he's going to instantly sign that 4-year extension. And it's been crickets. It's been crickets.
It just
all
seems
he
weird.
did was he had his initial press conference where he was unbelievably defensive. He was stating that people in his family are of Jewish descent, and that's why it's okay for him to be critical and anti-Semitic. Yeah. So I mean, it's typical kind of Kyrie stuff.
He removed that apology. I would not want Kyrie in Phoenix.
He removed that apology.
Plus, you know what? The Suns are okay. For Kyrie to come back to Phoenix this summer would have to be either a massive sign and trade, re-sign and trade because he's a free agent this summer, or he'd have to take a minimum because the Suns are already into the tax next year. So there's no way Kyrie is coming in the summer unless some massive sign and trade is concocted. And I don't see the Suns giving up a ton of equity to get Kyrie Irving. They were willing to last week. Maybe it's CP3. Maybe it's sign and trade in exchange for CP3 this summer. And then CP3 gets a little bit further away from his family in LA, going to Dallas. That could happen. I would not be happy. And you know what? If I were to believe Matt Ishbia with what he said yesterday to me about Chris Paul's leadership, he would not swap Chris Paul for Kyrie.
No, there's no way. Again, for those of you who did not watch his introductory press conference, he said a lot of the right things. There's one thing that I talk about all the time at work, where I'm currly at with my team, and that is there's two things: hiding in the closet somewhere with a Dave King shirt.
Want to get something done? Go in the closet.
But he talked about attitude and effort, and he talked about surrounding this organization with the right people and the right teammates, both in the front office, as members of the media, every aspect of this organization. And to Dave's point, CP3 personifies exactly what he was talking about. This is a basketball guy who cares about leadership, because he's a leader of a major company, of the largest mortgage company on the in the entire United States. So I really think that this is not something that we should expect. We should not expect Kyrie Irving to come here in any way, shape, or form in the offseason, even simply because he values character. And these guys, Kyrie Irving isn't what you would necessarily call a character guy.
Do you know who's a Kyrie guy?
That's an understatement.
Darius Bazley is actually a Kyrie guy. He agrees with a lot of, I guess he is.
Oh, no.
What do you mean?
He agrees with a lot of what he says, I guess. That's what my friend said. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of an asshole player, so we'll see.
Well, that won't last long in Phoenix.
No.
And again, it'll be interesting to see how Darius Bazley fits into this. I mean, we gave up our fourth center or our third power forward, essentially, in Dario Saric to bring him here. It'll be interesting to see how he fits into this team. Interesting because he is somebody who is young. His rookie season, he did play alongside CP3. So there is that connection there.
Coach Evan B. Good reminder.
Yep. Thank you, Coach Evan B.
Bazley's one of his best seasons was next to CP3. Of course, that's true of most every player.
He looks like McHale kind of too with the ball. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of does.
Goofy.
They're gonna forget. They're gonna forget him all too soon. All too soon. All right, we have 5 minutes left until the trade deadline is final. So I'm gonna bring a couple more people on. I'm going to bring Gavin from the Aussie Suns Fan Podcast. What time is it there, Gavin?
Hey.
It is 5 to 7, and Dave, finally, I get on a podcast with you.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Fantastic! I've been awake since 3 a.m. Following the deadline, so I've
been up since 4 myself. So there we go.
I
woke up. I opened one eye at 4 a.m. going, I wonder if anything happened.
I did that too, and opened it at 3 a.m. and thought that the Suns broke the trade deadline, but it's gone ballistic in the last hour.
And thankfully, I wrote a piece for Brightside because I was sitting there. I'd done all this podcasting, all this reacting to it, and I go, shit, we got to put something on Brightside or Dave's going to kill me.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
And you know what? It wouldn't be a Suns trade deadline podcast without your son here. That's right. We got Coach Fallen founder. Jake is here.
Hey!
We should have let him finish the whole cigar before
he's having his afternoon cigar. We're reuniting both Jake and Dave King. It's been a while since they were on a podcast together. How's it going, Jake?
Hey, you know what? Now that I'm free from my dad's shadow, all I've got to say is TJ Warren, back in time, timeline, reset, championship. Let's do it.
That's true. We haven't even talked about TJ Warren coming back to the Suns.
Let's talk
Here's
about
the
TJ
deal.
Warren.
TJ Warren, I don't expect him to be a starter. He was never very good next to Devin Booker back in the day because they don't complement each other. However, if you're looking for a guy who can get his own shot with the second unit or at any point in a game without needing somebody to feed him the ball, TJ Warren's your man. He is your man. He just the other night scored 17 points against the Suns. Almost all of those in ISOs and creating a shot for himself. And he looked as smooth as I remember him looking way back in the day. So I think he's great as a spark plug off the bench.
Anybody else?
You mean you don't want to rely on Landry Shamet to try and get us a basket?
Why the hell is Landry Shamet still on this roster?
Hey, man,
all these guys have been traded. Why is he still here?
Because no one else wants him. Dude.
He's the Monty guy this year. He's the Monty guy this year. He's Elia Kobo.
It is a megapod, ladies and gentlemen. So let's bring in So Says Jay.
Justin,
yo.
How many
What's
of
up,
us are
boys?
skipping work for this?
I'm working right now.
I'm at work. In case anybody ever wanted to see how the sausage is made, here it is.
Sensual Justin's office. I expected it to
see
be
your
more
sausage,
sensual.
Justin.
You want to see my look? You want to see my quickly? See my hold on. I need to make sure I don't like inadvertently show like a
Matt Ishby is there signing some
Ready?
paperwork.
It's my little my son's stuff, right? Got some DA autographed
Nice.
shoes. Got my book ball. That's all. I just want to show you guys that.
Football.
Were those 2 Charger helmets or just one?
There's 3 up there actually. I got a
Wow.
Keenan Allen, I got an LT, and I got a Justin Herbert.
Wow, fantastic. So
I don't
how
know
are
that
you?
my wife knows that any of this stuff is here at my office or that I
Well,
own. So
when
hopefully
she-
she doesn't
when she-
watch this.
Back when
She's
I
tuning
had
in
an
right
office
now.
at work, that's where all of my son's stuff was banished to. Now
Yeah.
that we're working from home, there's no other place to put it. So
All
I
my
had to
stuff's
take
in
a
the
picture
garage.
of it, and I use it as my. Oh, I know, mine's in the garage too. I had to take a picture and put it as my background because I wasn't
I
allowed to
saw
keep
that.
it up in the new
Oh, I
house.
remember that.
It's so sad.
It's true. Like when you get married, all your shit ends up in the garage. You know, that's just it's
Literally
very
in a
organized
box.
in boxes, and I have some of it like in the garage, but it's just like I get nothing, and that's why we all wonder, Jake, like how do you have such a great setup downstairs?
Can you tell that I live alone?
No one's stopping you from that, man.
I think it's usually hearing Gavin's beer box after he polishes one off during an episode and drops, and I hear that cling. I'm just like, I don't ever want to be limited to just a box. I want to be able to, maneuver around.
Well, this is it. I have 1 p.m. on my watch. It looks like the trade deadline's done. We'll see if anything kind of
There's going to be
in.
something in the next 5 minutes.
There always
Guarantee it.
is. There always is. But again, for those of you who are tuning in, obviously the Suns made their big splash last night when they acquired Kevin Durant for Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jae Crowder, and 5 first-round draft picks, one of them being a pick swap. They did trade away a second-round pick, not 5 second-round picks, but 1 second-round pick and Dario Saric to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Darius Bazley, who is a fourth-year power forward from – where did he go to college? Did he go to college? Doesn't look like he went to college. There you
he's
go.
super young. Isn't he 22?
22. He's 22. He's
Yeah.
almost 23 years old.
Timeline reset. There's your youth right there.
There's your youth movement. Do you think that James Jones wanted to bring in Darius Bazley, or do you think that Matt Ishbia is like, listen, dude, get over your pettiness for young players and bring in this motherfucker?
I don't think Ishbia knows who he is.
Bazley.
Yeah, there's no way he would know. I don't think. Right?
You know what? If
I
he
agree with
knows
Matthew.
Darius Bazley, then he's a bigger fan than I thought he was.
Yeah, because he kind of said in a press conference, he's like, I know nothing about basketball, really. Right? He's just here to be.
Oh, he knows plenty about basketball.
Well, he knows,
No,
but
he
needs
yeah,
some
he
help.
doesn't know
He
anything
doesn't know
about
the in-depth part.
running basketball organization. That's true. He did admit that. He said he's just going to watch for the next 3 months. To Matt's point, he doesn't know, but he does know how to tell the GM to do it, to get it done, and use all the assets you need to use. But no, he wouldn't be able to run the front office himself, and that's what he was saying.
So that's that Dario trade though. That's surely just getting rid of that expiring.
100%.
It's all
100%.
It's a
we
$5
can-
million pure cash savings, which
Yeah.
means probably about $20 million in total cash and tax, which is what they increased by with the Kevin Durant trade. So basically, they came out with a net zero, and they brought in Durant and TJ Warren and Bazley for all those guys. That's basically what it is.
So how many expirings do we have left, Dave? Because we got rid of Jay. We got rid of Dario Saric.
Yeah.
Who else
Not
do
really.
we have? I forget.
Craig, right? In the
Yeah,
minimum.
Craig.
Well, Torrey Craig is expiring, but he's like so valuable on that contract,
Yes.
and he's in his final year. Obviously he's expiring. Duh. Sorry, I'm looking at the sheet right now. The Suns actually don't have. They have Cam Payne, who's only $2 million guaranteed next year,
Mm-hmm.
and then Landry Shamet only 1 more year guaranteed. But that's it for the expirings. That's
So,
it for the expirings.
so well done, James Jones. For all of the people who said James Jones doesn't do anything, how do you like your crow? Do you like it fried? Do you like it baked? How should we deep freeze it and ship it to you? How would you guys like it? What would you grade James Jones and how he's navigated this trade deadline?
11.
43. I
out of
just hope
10.
everybody's over not getting Rui. Like, I know that was
Oh, yeah.
for a
That
lot
was
of
tough.
Suns fans out there.
That's what Gavin said at 1 this morning.
When he had that 20 and 12 game, was it 28 and 12? His first game with the Lakers. I was like, oh, we missed out.
Hey,
on
can
that.
I ask you guys a question? Sorry, I totally just cut you off, Matthew. I thought
Please.
you
Oh,
were-
always.
Paul's used to that. He'll tell you all about it. Is anybody on like the we paid too much for KD train? Because I think those folks are psycho.
No.
Oh yeah, there's none of us.
That's what I meant. Like anybody here. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't need to like.
No, when I saw KD and Phoenix on the tweet, I didn't even see who he gave up. I didn't care. I just ran straight to the computer. I was like, John, we got to do a pod because I just wanted him here. I don't care who it was, other than Book and KD. That's all I wanted.
I woke up. I had like 50 missed messages because I actually went to sleep at like 10 o'clock last night, like an idiot.
Very unlike you.
It is so unlike me. You know what's funny? I was in a deposition all day yesterday. I was exhausted. I got home. I'm like, maybe we should do a pod tonight. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah. The time we normally record, we literally would have been like recording when that news came out. So whatever.
Way to go.
I got a lovely night's sleep though.
Oh man, I didn't.
I tweeted out last night, dude. I was like, y'all go get some sleep, rest easy. Cause I felt like, and to be clear, everyone's like, oh, well, terrible tweet. No. I felt like something was coming down the pike. I wasn't going to lose any sleep over it. Would I have liked to have been up when it happened? Sure. But you know what? I'm rested, ready to go today. Got up at 5, hit the gym. Lovely day. I digress, though. No overpay for KD. I can't wait to see him and Book in the same in the Suns uniform next year.
Are you guys going to cry? I'm going to cry. A little bit.
I might do something else.
Oh, God. Okay, anyway.
Well, you cry.
Shams
he's going to go to the closet.
I meant celebrate.
That Toronto is not making any moves.
Isn't that unbelievably surprising? Everybody that we know, ourselves included, have been picking apart the assets of the Toronto Raptors for the past month, seeing what would fit into our organization and other teams' organizations, and the fear that OG could end up in Golden State, and Gary Trent Jr., could he end up being a member of the Denver Nuggets and things of that nature. What does that tell us about Toronto and how they value themselves? And raise your hand if you're upset that Fred VanVleet isn't a member of this organization. I saw that, Jake. You were thinking about it. Go, you can be that guy.
I'm a follower, so I would have. If you would have raised your hand, I would have too.
Exactly. I thought about it, but no. I mean, I'll be honest. Though, what were the Raptors thinking? I mean, are they even in the top 8 right now in the East? They're not, are they?
I don't think
no,
so.
They're like a 500 team, so I don't know where that puts them.
10th, I think. But they did get Pirtle in, and I think.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Based off the back of that, I actually believe that they think they can become a playoff team by adding a center, which is the one thing they actually did need.
True.
Yeah, so they're just going for it. They didn't get enough big offers for anybody else. Am I disappointed? Fred VanVleet is the same situation as Kyrie Irving, whereas this summer you can look to get him. You just didn't get him now because Chris Paul is too valuable to this team right now. But if you decide in the summer to move on, FVV is going to be available too in a sign and trade.
Interesting thought process there, and I'm not opposed to it. It makes sense for Toronto. They want to play it out. They have, when you sit there and you hear all these other fan bases picking apart your roster for the scraps that they think could benefit their team, guess what? You probably have a team that has some really good assets. The challenge that they have is learning to play together and learning to like to play together, right? It's a team that has some noted internal issues, and perhaps, God, I always forget the name of the GM.
James Jones? Who are you talking about?
In Toronto.
Ujiri.
Ujiri.
Yeah.
Masai Ujiri is probably saying, he's probably had them all in a room today and be like, listen, guys, figure this shit out. We're talented. Everybody wants you on your team. Can't you? I mean, that should tell you how amazing you guys are. So let's figure this shit out. Attitude and effort. He played him at Matt Ishbia's introductory press conference, and he's like, hey, be like these guys, okay? So, again, knowing that the Toronto Raptors are going to stay the course, great, fantastic, whatever. 10th in the Eastern Conference, I don't give a shit. Let's take a look at some of the transactions that did occur today in the Western Conference. Who wants to talk a little bit about what the Denver Nuggets did? They gave up former Suns second-round pick, Davon Reed, and they gave up 3 second-round picks for Thomas Bryant, which is an interesting addition considering that is one area of opportunity for the Denver Nuggets, is to fortify the play behind Nikola Jokic, at least with some size. I mean, they used to have some size behind him. They don't necessarily do that. And they also traded Bones Highland. And what they get for Bones Highland? I'm not seeing it.
2 second rounders.
So they took 2 second-round picks and they flipped them. Okay.
Is DeAndre Jordan still on that roster?
I believe so,
Not
but
for long.
He's DeAndre Jordan. He'll be bought out. So who thinks that, Denver, who is leading the West, made the correct moves today?
Well, I don't get why they got rid of Bones Highland for 2 second-round picks. Am I missing something there?
Yeah, he had worked his way totally out of the Nuggets rotation because he pissed off. He didn't mix with the coach. He wanted a bigger role, blah, blah, blah. He was a net negative every time he was on the court. So he basically just flamed out.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had
He was
really
a
bad
net
body language.
Had a falling out with Jamal Murray as well. They had a bit of a Twitter feud between Jamal Murray and Jamal Murray's sister or something.
What are they? Me and Dan Duarte? Come on. Grow up, guys. Go to Barclays and have a beer.
Little mature. Act your age. Goodness
I
gracious.
think I think Denver just pulled off net. They traded for what they had to trade. They're pretty happy with their roster.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
think,
good
I
for
think
them
Thomas
because they
Bryant
can't
move's a smart
defend
one.
anybody. Oh, sorry, Justin.
No, that's all. I was just going to say, I think Thomas Bryant moves a smart one. Like you said, Voida fortifies the rotation behind Jokic. I mean, Thomas Bryant isn't anything particularly special, except when he plays the Suns. He's had some good games against the Suns, if I recall correctly. So from that
Always
perspective, it seems like a dynamite move.
And Dave's spot on. Their biggest problem, I think, is defensively, and they haven't addressed that. So that's good.
So here's my next question.
For the record, I'm not worried about the Mavs just because, or Mavs. I'm definitely not worried about the Mavs. Not worried about the Nuggets just because they got Thomas Bryant. Just make sure that's clear.
So my next question is about the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, for those of you who are up early this morning, you might have seen, I forget who tweeted it, that maybe it was Dave. Was Dave that you tweeted that Gambo was talking about Mikal Bridges might be on the way to Memphis? Was that you, Dave?
No. All I did was share that Gambo said if.
Yeah, Gambo said it.
If. Not to Memphis. Somebody else said potentially. It was Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype who said Memphis is inquiring about Mikal Bridges. And then Gambo later said if the Nets would trade Bridges, seems like he'd be worth 3 first-round picks. That's what I said.
Gotcha. Okay, so they're essentially putting value on him.
Well, Gambo did. I don't know where Gambo got it. 3 first-round picks for a non-all-star. DeJounte Murray is an all-star and only got 2 unprotecteds. So, and a pick swap. I mean, only quote unquote. So I don't know if Mikal could get you 3 first-rounders. I think if OG, who's basically almost as good as Mikal, but not quite, couldn't get a couple first-rounders, I don't see how Mikal gets 3.
So looking at the Memphis Grizzlies, the action that they made, obviously the second best team currently in the Western Conference, they acquired Luke Kennard from the Clippers in a 3-team trade that sent Danny Green to Houston. So all those minutes that he played in Memphis, a total of 0, are now headed to Houston. They sent second-round draft picks to the Clippers. Green was actually, let's see. So Eric Gordon went to the Clippers, I think is a part of that deal. So what did Memphis do, guys?
Yeah, they got Eric Gordon somehow. They replaced their 2 point guards with
by they you mean the Clippers?
Now I'm confused.
The Clippers, yeah.
There's too much going on today.
There's too much going on.
That's the beauty.
So they got
Eric Gordon.
They got Bones Highland as well.
That's right.
Eric
Gordon,
who
did Memphis get?
Miles Plumlee. Oh, who did Memphis get?
Memphis. I'm looking at Memphis.
Luke Kennard.
And a couple second-round draft picks.
A couple of second-round draft picks, which is really exciting, I think, for Dylan Brooks in particular. I saw Hubie Talks Hoops post something earlier today, and it's spot on. It's Luke Kennard will open the floor space to allow Dylan Brooks more time to take fall-away long 2-pointers early in the shot clock.
And they just got Luke Kennard. They didn't get any picks. It was
they didn't get picks.
Houston getting Danny Green, the Clips getting Gordon, 3 second-round picks, and a right to pick swap with rights 3 second-round picks to pick swap with. Hold on.
See,
it says ESPN says the Clippers get Eric Gordon and 3 second-round picks rights to pick swap with the Clippers. That doesn't make sense. So maybe somebody else got picks.
But they only got Luke Kennard. So again, you take a look at the top of the Western Conference, and those teams just kind of hit the fringes, right? And that's what a lot of people thought that the Phoenix Suns would do. But again, if you're joining us a little bit late, I don't know if you know this, but the Suns got Kevin over again. I've yet to hear from Jake and Justin on their thoughts on acquiring Kevin Durant. That's obviously the big prize, the big fish, the thing that everybody's talking about and will continue to talk about. How are you guys feeling?
Jake hasn't spoken yet. You go first. I haven't heard your beautiful voice.
Ooh, listen up, Jamsters. We're going for the title right now. It's over, brother. I mean, it's Suns against the world, and I mean, how can you not be excited about this? And I love Mikhail. I love Cam. You guys will always be welcome back in the Valley at a future time. Come back the TJ Warren route. You know, we'll accept you back with loving arms. But when you take on one of the greatest players in the league today, for high quality players, but not stars, you have to be very, very excited. And the Suns have really a big four now. Like people have been talking about CP3, Durant, and Booker, but when Ayton's your fourth best player, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I was saying earlier to somebody. The Suns really lost. I'm just going to jump in, Justin. Sorry, but the Suns really lost because they didn't have the best players on the court in the last two seasons. They had depth, but they didn't have the best players on the court. Okay, Justin, go. Sorry.
I'm incredibly excited. I mean, look, I was stoked last summer when all the KD talk was going on. That obviously fizzled out. I thought there was still a chance. I frankly didn't think it would happen this trade deadline. I thought maybe this offseason we'd revisit it. But like Jake said, dude, like I love Mikhail, I love Cam. It pains me to see them go. It does. But at the end of the day, it's fucking Kevin Durant.
Yeah. How long does this take? Did the Suns just come out, start destroying teams, or is it going to take maybe a week or two?
Well,
I think they just come out and start destroying.
If KD plays right after the All-Star break, because he's still got that MCL, right? Their first game, I think, is against OKC, I think it was, after the All-Star break. So, yeah, maybe they just go and run the table the rest of the way. Who knows? I mean, you're asking a guy who's literally never picked the Suns to lose. So I don't know if you're asking the right person what's going to happen. But if there was ever a time for my picks to always be right, I think now is it.
Dave, I don't know if you remember from your days doing the solar panel. Do you remember Rauer in the chat? Always blowing Lucas and makes them both happy.
I think he's from Luca's house. I mean, I was going to say hometown. I was going to say country. I was going to say area.
He's his housekeeper.
It's Luca's mom.
If we had Luca instead of DA, we'd be stuck in basketball purgatory like the Mavericks. I humbly submit.
Is there sustained? Is there any other transactions that have occurred at the trade deadline that any of you fine gentlemen would like to talk about before I get out of here and go back to work?
That's a yes for me, sir.
All right, fire away.
All right. The Houston Rockets have acquired John Wall and Danny Green. And immediately, I saw 40 minutes ago, the Suns are said to have very strong interest of John Wall's to be bought out. We already know that the Rockets shelved John Wall last time. And I see on Dave's face, he's not a huge John Wall guy. I get it. I get it, Dad. But listen here, as a backup, can he run the offense maybe a little bit smoother and create than what we've been seeing? We do need some more guard depth because I don't want to have to rely on I like Campaign. I don't want to have to rely on Landry to play quality playoff minutes. So I'd be okay with that.
Who said the Suns are interested in him?
Legion Hoops. I don't know him, but 650,000 followers. And
aggregator. So somebody else must have said it first, and they're taking credit.
Yeah, because it's going to be Westbrook.
I think they quoted someone.
I'm with.
Well, I put in before I put into the chat before, and now looking at it, you got Westbrook is likely to be bought out. Wall's going to be bought out. Patrick Beverley's going to be bought out, and Reggie Jackson's going to be bought out.
Don't even say that dude's name on his son's podcast when we're talking about who we might pick up, bro. Come on.
Hey, you
But
got
to
to
Gavin's
Beverly's gonna get bought out, and picked up by a
options
team in Australia.
Options exist, right? That's what you're saying, Gavin. Good, bad.
Yes,
or
the
indifferent.
options will exist as a backup point guard. The options will be there.
Yeah, there will be definitely options there. I wouldn't pick John Wall. Reggie Jackson is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'd do that.
I think I keep an eye on Westbrook. That's my thought.
I'm kind of on the Westbrook
I
train.
think it's just gonna happen. I mean, whether or not we like him, I think he's just gonna join this team.
Listen,
He's just
Matthew,
gonna
Play
show
10
up.
minutes a game.
Like,
Lissy
he's gonna
said it-
show up
Lissy
and be
said it
like,
Drive to the
last
hole,
night.
get
I'm
to
playing,
the, get to the
guys,
free throw
whether
line.
you want me or not.
Lissy said it last night. KD and Westbrook will win a championship in Phoenix.
That sounds bad though.
It sounds-
That's not as exciting as you might.
You
think.
said it with a lot more
Oh,
enthusiasm last night, and it was like 2 a.m.
before
so.
KD was traded. I said KD and Westbrook back in Phoenix. So part 1 has been done.
Yeah,
There
I
have
was
been a
gonna-
lot of detractors in the chat on this pod about how bad Landry Shamet and Campaign are. And you know what? I have to agree. I haven't seen them do anything for weeks.
Well, it's
They've
probably 'cause they're
provided
injured,
nothing to
Dave.
this.
I wonder why.
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I
you guys
know.
just need to
Um,
wait until
fooling
Serge
me.
Ibaka is bought out, and then we can
Is it-
really restart the Oklahoma City Thunder mixed with the Phoenix
I
Suns.
was
10
going to
years
say,
later.
is there any others in the buyout market that any of you think we should keep an eye on? Like, I keep reading that Kevin Love's likely to be bought out. Someone like that.
If
Is
it was
that is there anyone in
2017, I'd
interest?
be down for that.
Even last year, he was
Yeah, I was
good.
gonna say, even last
maybe
year I was down.
2021. I don't know. Okay, but
Well, is there
I don't
any
know, like-
concern about rebounding now that with so many wings and Dario gone? I mean, I'm thinking, from a backup perspective, because we're going to unfortunately be all over Ayton's case now if he doesn't come up with double-digit rebounds every single game. Because that's
Well,
gonna be
when
his
Kevin
big role.
Durant is healthy, he averages 7.5, and that would have
Mhm.
been second on the Suns this year.
Mhm.
So I don't think the Suns regressed on rebounding as much as people might be worried about.
Yeah, and KD would always play the 5 too to end every game with the Nets. Now you have you have him.
Yeah, you got him and Aiden.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's gonna be
Yep.
awesome. That's gonna be great.
plus
an
when you
upgrade.
score 200 a game, rebounding is not going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 200 and a half. Yeah,
When
No.
is the buyout deadline?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
You have to, I think you have to be released by, oh God. Well, the trade deadline changes every year, but I think it's like the end of February. You have to be released. And then you can be picked up by anybody and play in the playoffs. But you have to not be on your old team after February.
So per
But I'd have to
spot
confirm
track,
the exact date.
per spot
Yeah.
track, it says following the February 9th trade deadline, the next big date to watch is March 1st. Players
Okay.
waived after March 1st are not eligible to play in that season's playoffs. Effectively, the last day for playoff teams to add anyone who is on another team's roster after the trade deadline. So March 1st is kind of the next milestone, if you will.
Well,
So,
and the key there is they only have to be released by that date. The Suns could theoretically sign them in April
yes.
and still play them in the playoffs as long as they were released before March.
And
So
we
there
have
you go.
2 roster spots open now, and we still have our mid-level exception. Is that correct? So we could, in theory, outbid these other teams that say, I can only give you a minimum
That's
contract.
true.
Is
The
that right?
Suns still have their taxpayer mid-level, which is more than just about anybody can offer for sure.
How much is that, Dave? Do you know offhand?
It's about $5 million.
5 million.
So the standard would be $2 million off the street. These guys can get up to $3 million cash, but $2 million on your salary cap. So getting an extra couple million from the Suns is pretty good.
Well, John, you asked, how do I like my crow for doubting James Jones?
Mhm.
Smoked.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's a good way to end the pod, huh?
That is. I think. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before I allow you all to to say goodbye and where people can follow you? Because that's a kind of good closing line.
Anybody buy a KD jersey yet?
I'm going to once I get a chance. I just got to talk my wife into
Just
letting me.
one-
so I
one
can,
quick question, though.
so I can hang it in the garage.
Will we see more KD jerseys than book jerseys? I feel like we will.
No,
Next
Eventually,
year?
eventually.
Next
but
year.
no.
Next year, I feel like we will. Which is, this sucks, but it's the way it is.
depends on how far they go in the playoffs.
True. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
All right. Well, Dave King, can you tell everyone where they can follow you? And thank you ever so much for joining us. This is super fun.
Yeah. My name is Dave King. My Twitter handle is Dave King NBA, and you can find me on the webs at brightsideofthesun.com.
And Gavin,
at Aussie
Bye,
Suns
guys.
fans,
Hey, Dave.
yeah, follow me there. I'll be having some fun over the course of the day. And thanks for having me on. This was a blast. Thanks, guys.
yeah, twice in 12 hours, so we appreciate
I know.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Jake,
You can follow me at Fallen Founder, and don't worry if you're watching this. I was working the entire time.
and Justin.
At So Says Jay. You can follow my podcasting partners at Dervish of World and at Dan Duarte1, I think. And our pod, Fanning the Flames, of course, at Fan the Flames NBA. And Voida, I'll send you my bill for my hourly rate for this.
Fantastic. I will lose that email. You can follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. Matthew?
At KD Trey 5. And go home and love them. Just love everybody right now.
Just love everybody. Dude.
Amen.
Go home and love your work.
Amen.
So thank you, everybody, again for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Hit that thumbs up button. And we'll see you a little bit later tonight on our post-game show.